Babysitting Rule. Don't mention the man in the basement. Part 8. Hey guys, thank you for your advice, your words, your warnings. It really means a lot to have you there for me, to listen, to let me talk things through, and to help me untangle the mess going on in my head. After the terrifying night with Jamie, and after David and Margaret finally admitted that he was attached to the house, it became painfully clear they didn't know anything. Not really. They'd said all they could, shared everything within their limited understanding, but it was obvious they were grasping at fragments of knowledge, lost in fear. They were scared, yes, but clueless. Their faces, exhausted and haunted, told me more than their words ever could. They had no answers, no true understanding of what was happening, and no idea how to stop it. I know I could have walked away, and maybe I should have at this point, but I couldn't bear the thought of Jamie being stuck in that house for the rest of his life, and his parents aren't fighting for answers. I couldn't rely on them. If I walk away, he has no one. He deserves to be a regular little boy, to play with friends, go to the playground, go to school, not sit trapped in a dark, scary house all day, every day. And if he was in danger, I had to uncover the truth myself. The responsibility felt like a weight pressing into my chest, but I couldn't ignore it. I dug through property records and found the name of the previous owner, Alfred Thorne. According to the registry, he now lived in a small coastal town about 2 hours away. I drove there the next day. Grey clouds pressed down over the road, the ocean visible in the distance like a restless, dark mirror. When I arrived, the house stood before me, a modest white cottage with weathered charm and faded shutters. The gate creaked as I pushed it open, and the narrow path beyond was lined with overgrown grass creeping through the cracks in the stone. It gave the quiet impression that there weren't a lot of visitors at this house. I knocked on the door. "Yes?" a voice from within questioned. I want to ask you about your old house," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The door opened just enough for me to see one eye, sharp and suspicious. Alfred was older than I expected, thin, gaunt, hair streaked with grey, and eyes that seemed to have seen more than anyone should. His cardigan hung loosely from his frame, as if he had forgotten it was even there. His gaze hardened. "My old house?" His voice was flat, almost mechanical. "Nothing's wrong with it. It's just a house." I felt my pulse spike. He clearly knew exactly why I was here. "It's not just a house. You need to tell me everything you know about it." The door closed another inch. His knuckles whitened on the edge of it. "I don't know anything. Go home." I pressed closer. "Please, you lived there before the current family moved in. You must have seen something important." The door slammed in my face. The wood rattled violently, and my palms stung from the impact. Through the wood, his voice came again, louder now, trembling but furious. "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to know. Leave me alone." I pressed my forehead to the door, breath coming fast. He knew something. He was terrified of it, but I couldn't give up. "Alfred, listen to me," I shouted. "There's a little boy's life at stake. He's sick. He's terrified. Please, I need to know what you saw in that house." Silence. Then, a faint tremor, a muffled sound behind the door. Like a sob he tried to swallow. The door creaked open an inch. His face was pale, eyes wary. "Go away," he whispered weakly, but there was no strength left in it. "I can't," I said softly. "I need your help. Please." For a long moment, he just stared. Finally, with a shuddering breath, he swung the door open fully. "Come in," he muttered. "But you're not going to like what you hear." Inside, the house smelled of salt and old wood, faintly of mildew. A small fire crackled in the hearth, though the room was otherwise dim. Old photographs lined the walls, Alfred and a woman I assumed to be his wife, smiling in happier days. He lowered himself onto a sagging, weathered couch, its faded floral pattern swallowed by shadows. The springs groaned under his weight, and he stared down at his hands, fingers knotted together, like a man bracing for a confession. I perched on the edge of a nearby armchair, my knees pressed together, leaning forward just slightly. My heart thumped hard against my ribs. He didn't look at me right away. He seemed lost somewhere far off, staring at a point on the carpet, as though the memories he had buried had to be retrieved, locked away inside his mind. I didn't speak. I didn't dare. The silence between us stretched, long and brittle. Dust motes floated in the single shaft of light that sneaked past the curtains. Finally, his jaw tightened, and he drew in a slow breath, as if he'd been holding it for years. "I shouldn't even be talking about this," Alfred said, his voice tight, each word measured. "I left that house for good. I wanted nothing to do with it anymore." "I don't care," I said. "A child needs help. Jamie, you have to tell me." He exhaled slowly, finally giving in. "Fine," he muttered. "But you need to understand. What you're dealing with is not natural. It's not a ghost, not a demon in any normal sense." He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a terrified whisper. "It's called Valakar." A chill ran through me. The name carried a weight I couldn't explain. "What is Valakar?" I asked steadily, bracing myself. "It's tied to a place, a house, a basement, sometimes even the land itself. You can't move it. You can't destroy it. It lives there, festers there like rot in the walls." His gaze sharpened. "And when it latches onto a living vessel, that vessel changes." I swallowed hard. "Changes how?" Alfred turned toward one of the photographs on his wall, an old black and white of a young woman with dark hair, smiling as the wind caught it. My wife, Bea. She was so full of life, so kind. His voice cracked. "She became a vessel?" I guessed. He nodded once. "When we moved into that house, she changed. Slowly at first. The noises, the banging, the shadows. We thought it was just a haunting. But Bea became darker. She stopped laughing. She became mean, cruel. Over time, it was like she wasn't Bea anymore. She was something else wearing her face." He stared down at his hands. "We tried to leave. Every time she stepped beyond the front door, she would get violently sick. Migraines, seizures, nosebleeds. It was like she was chained to the house, a prisoner, and I couldn't save her." My heart lurched. "Just like Jamie." Alfred faltered. I felt a pang of sympathy, but I needed him to keep talking. "The vessel becomes colder, crueler, until the person you know is gone. There's nothing left but the will of Valakar, and it spreads its darkness as long as the vessel lives. It gets stronger, more violent." His fingers trembled. "And the basement," he shuddered. "That's where it's strongest. That's where it's anchored. For years I kept the door shut. That was the only way to keep it contained. Not entirely, but if the door is opened, it stirs, it seeps out, it infects more quickly." My breath caught. I was the one that opened the door. Alfred didn't notice the blood draining from my face. He was trapped in his own memories. "The closer I was to her, the worse she became," he said, as if confessing something he'd kept buried for years. "Any affection, any attention I gave, it only seemed to feed it. The more I cared, the stronger it became. Even talking about it gave it strength. I had to pull back. I had to distance myself for my own sanity. I knew she'd kill me if I stayed. So I left. I left her there. I brought her groceries, medicine, whatever she needed. But my bee was gone. The thing inside her wasn't my wife anymore. I felt the breath leave my lungs as his words sank in. Suddenly, the way Jamie's parents hovered on the edge of their son's life without ever holding him, it all snapped into focus. They weren't neglecting him. They were trying not to feed it. They were doing what they thought would protect him, even if it meant abandoning him emotionally. I hesitated, not knowing which of my burning questions to ask first. How do you know it was Valakar? I spent years searching for answers. Priests, exorcists, witches, everyone. Finally, a shaman in Peru told me the name, Valakar, a parasite bound to a location. It doesn't die. It only leaves one vessel when it's ready to take another. And once it's in, his voice trailed off. There's no removing it. I felt my stomach twist. Did she ever get free? He sighed sadly. No, she died in that house. And when she did, I sold it. I just wanted it gone. I hoped it would die with her. But I guess it didn't. The realization hit me like a blow. When they moved in, Jamie became the vessel. And I had opened the basement door. I had set it free, making it stronger and making Jamie weaker. Alfred's voice dropped lower, like he didn't even want the walls to hear him. You've noticed the pattern, haven't you? 9 o'clock? I stiffened. The parents always sent Jamie to bed by then, every night. I thought it was just strict parenting. He shook his head, his lips pressing tight. It's not about rules. It's survival. Valakar stirs at that time, every night. The house itself changes. The basement becomes alive, charged. You felt it, the cold, the pressure in your chest, the whispers. That's when it's strongest. My mouth went dry. So, the parents make Jamie sleep so he's safe? No. Alfred leaned forward, eyes sharp. So they're safe. So the rest of the house is safe. When a vessel is awake past 9, Valakar doesn't just linger in the basement. It reaches through them, uses them. A sleeping mind offers less access. Awake, Jamie becomes a doorway. And if that doorway is open... He trailed off, his knuckles whitening as his hand tightened around the glass of water. I held my breath. Neither of us moved, as though the weight of the moment had pinned us in place. The silence was dense, almost tangible, a heaviness that seemed to settle into the air itself, pressing down until even breathing felt like an intrusion. Finally, Alfred spoke. I wish I could help you, but that's all I know. I couldn't save Bea. There's no saving Jamie. Just try not to feed it. Try not to make it worse. He rose from his chair and walked to the door, pulling it open. A silent signal that our meeting was over, that I was no longer welcome. Panic fluttered in my chest as I searched desperately for one last question. Something, anything that might make sense of it all. But my mind was empty. There was nothing left to say. I left, then turned desperately and blurted out, I opened the door to the basement, and I made Jamie worse. Valakar is possessing Jamie, using his body. I need to know what to do. Alfred took a sharp breath. His eyes softened, looking at my anguish, an understanding that maybe no one else on earth could comprehend. Then he spoke. It's too late. If Valakar is using Jamie's body, then none of you are safe.